Hello and welcome to grammar class. Today's lesson is continuous tenses in passive voice. Well, we know that there are in all 6 continuous tenses in English grammar, namely present continuous and present perfect continuous, past continuous and past perfect continuous, future continuous and future perfect continuous. However, interestingly, not all these continuous tenses can be used in the passive voice. In fact, among these 6 continuous tenses, only the present continuous and the past continuous are used in the passive voice. Now, before I proceed any further, let me tell you the key difference between the active voice and the passive voice. You see, when the verb is in the active voice, we know that the subject of the sentence is the doer or agent of the action. On the other hand, the passive voice of the verb indicates that the subject is the receiver of the action or its impact. To put it simply, in the active voice, the subject performs or does something, while in the passive voice, the subject receives the impact of the action. Now, like I said earlier, only the present continuous and the past continuous have passive voice. First, let's see how the present continuous is used in the passive voice. You see, the structure of the present continuous in passive voice is subject plus am or is or are plus being plus the past participle of the principal verb. You may remember the active voice structure of the present continuous tense, which is am, is, are plus the present participle of the principal verb or its ing form. For example, I am reading a newspaper. Here the verb am reading is in the active voice. The subject I is performing an action of reading. But in the sentence, a newspaper is being read by me, the verb is being read is in the present continuous passive voice. We see here that the subject, a newspaper, is not the doer of an action in this sentence, but the receiver of the action reading. Similarly, in the next example, she is singing a sweet song. The verb is singing is in the active voice because the subject she is the doer of an action of singing. Look at the active voice structure in this sentence, is plus the fourth form or the ing form of the verb sing. But then in the last sentence, a sweet song is being sung by her. The verb is being sung is in the passive voice. Because the subject of the sentence, a sweet song, is not the performer of an action, but the receiver of the action of singing. And not to miss the passive voice structure of the verb here, is plus being and the past participle or the third form of the verb sing. So the active verb am reading becomes is being read and is singing becomes is being sung in the passive voice. In this way, the present continuous tense is used in the passive voice. The only other continuous tense that's used in the passive voice is the past continuous tense. The structure of the past continuous tense in passive voice goes subject plus was or were plus being and the past participle or the third form of the principal verb. Now study the examples on your screen very attentively. In the sentence, I was drawing a picture, the verb was drawing is in the past continuous active voice. Look at the structure of the active verb here. Was plus the ing or present participle form of the principal verb. The subject I is doing something here, drawing a picture. But in the following sentence, a picture was being drawn by me. The verb was being drawn is in the past continuous tense in passive voice. Was plus being plus the past participle of the principal verb indicates this. And we also see that the subject of the sentence, a picture, isn't doing anything here but receiving the impact of the action of drawing. They were not cutting the trees. In this sentence also, the verb were not cutting is in the past continuous tense active voice. Were not plus the ing form of the verb cut. We can change this sentence into the passive voice as the trees were not being cut by them. The verb in this sentence were not being cut is in the past continuous tense passive voice. In the first sentence, the subject they is the doer of an action, while in the second, the trees is the receiver of an action. In this way, we see that just like the present continuous tense, the past continuous can also be used in the passive voice. But what about the other four continuous tenses? Are they also used in the passive voice? No, the other four continuous tenses, namely present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous, and the future continuous have no passive voice. In other words, the three perfect continuous tenses and the future continuous tense are not used in the passive voice. Now see these examples on your screen. He will be helping the poor all his life. The verb in this sentence, will be helping, is in the future continuous tense active voice. We cannot change this sentence into the passive voice because the future continuous has no passive voice. I have been watching TV for some time. The verb have been watching is in the present perfect continuous tense active voice. Make no mistake, we can't have this tense in the passive voice. He had been writing novels for 2 decades before he died. In this sentence, the verb had been writing is in the past perfect continuous tense active voice. A verb in the past perfect continuous tense cannot be changed into the passive voice. I will have been doing this business for a long time. We know that the verb will have been doing is in the future perfect continuous tense active voice. And that's why in this case too, passive voice is not possible. To sum up, of all the 6 continuous tenses in English grammar, only the present continuous and the past continuous can be used in the passive voice. That's the end of today's class. Hopefully you liked the video. Please be sure to like, comment and share our videos, and do not forget to click the notification bell for more such useful grammar content. Thanks for watching.